Sabha Saraswatyai Namaha. After Sri Narasimha Reddy, it will be very difficult to speak. Therefore, first thing I will do is, I will avoid the microphone. Narasimham's roar. With two Narasimhams there, we have seen the second Narasimham in its Ugra Rupam, Ugra Narasimham, with his 5-point agenda. I don't know how many Narasimhams are there, but at least I know one. One more Narasimham. With these many lions, I don't know, a timid goat like me, what I am going to perform. Poverty alleviation. Garibi Hatao. 66 years of post-independent era. Promises galore on one side. Voiceless people on the other. Voiceless not because they don't have a vocal card, but because they are information have-nots and therefore they don't know what to ask for, demand. And this country very intelligently has been taking care of making people stay at a place where they would not get too many details about the government programs. You have a beautiful advertisement issued on a newspaper, a full page with lovely colors, at least with 3 photographs. One of the Honorable Prime Minister of this country, another of the Union Minister, and the third, the Union Minister of State. And if that ministry has the second Union Minister of State, you will also have the 4th photograph. The communication says, one full page, and it says, please send your child to school. One year later, same photographs, it says, please send your girl child to school because girls' literacy is very important. I am very happy. Close to about 2,712 newspapers in this country get an advertisement for a day, one page. And I don't know how many people in whose homes children don't go to school, this newspaper goes and reaches. That is the question. I see the advertisement, spend only 10 seconds to capture the most important statement obviously made by the concerned minister. I'm captured on the camera, but still I am speaking these words. And half an hour later, that newspaper is not in my hands. Very rarely I have gone back in the evening to a newspaper once again to see some of the important articles. Yesterday's newspaper does not command the same value to me as it commands at the coffee time in the morning. And I know the amount spent on one full page advertisement of all the newspapers in the country. So it's not that Planning Commission does not recommend for allocation of grants for communication strategies. But what communication, what will reach people, what will not, is the question. I have the newspaper in my hands, and two of my sons are anyway going to school. My supporting staff, my PA in the office, reads the newspaper. His two daughters are already going to the school. Whom are we carrying this communication campaign is the first question. 2. APARD has done a small study and it experimented. What is the best communication mode? We were surprised to see people still flocking around in rural areas. The evening documentary screened on a wall than anything else. I still remember as a student, elementary school student, once a while, the public relation department's van used to come along with a 16 mm film projector, and it would come and reach even when the light is there. So we would all go play around the van, touch the van for some time, get the scoldings from the film man, and we would even see, how a film, after all an inanimate object, how can it show some human being moving? And when it falls dark, trust me, at least 2-3 individuals from each family would come and sit in a common place where there would be a screen hung onto which one documentary after another would be played. And when the last documentary is being played, maybe on cholera or on importance of education, or even on one of the films division's news reels, which used to be screened in cinema theaters, before the start of the film. And one such thing would be shown. We would still be thinking that there would be one more document, and this man would shut off the light and he will pack up. We will feel so sad. We missed the opportunity of seeing one more film, isn't it? It was not the cartoon film of the cat and rat. It was not a cinema song of a popular hero at that time, but it was bare, strong subject that relates to the human life, which attempted to improve the quality of life of human beings. But still people sat around to watch. We have completely lost out on that. I just don't know what in Andhra Pradesh, at least. I can't speak about other states. I can speak about Andhra Pradesh, criticize Andhra Pradesh, and can take the brickbats later, no problem. But in this state, at least, I have not seen an information van moving into the villages, at least during the last 20 years. The common man has lost out to get the information about any single newly introduced good program. We had recently gone to a village called Chided in Manchal Mandal of Rangareddy district, where we carried some of those documentaries, and screened to the people. My God, the amount of attention we have got. Some of my colleagues are also present. We formed a committee of 5 people and we called them the core committee of APARD. And we continued to work with that village for a few more months later. And today, Chided is completely a transformed village. Information rich. They know what to question, where to question, why somebody can't be given a pension, why MGNREGS work can't be sanctioned in addition to what they have already got, and whatever. APARD has also done another small study. We looked at how many programs are there in this wonderful country which tries to look at eradicating poverty relating to the common man. We ended up counting 255 programs. Chided had 255 programs up and running even today. 255 programs can be implemented in that village, all aiming at alleviating poverty and improving the quality of life of rural population. We came back. We asked some of the heads of departments of the government, particularly in agriculture. At that point of time, the Commissioner of Agriculture was a good friend of me. I asked, how many programs do you run? Department. Why I am saying this is very important, because the next question that follows is going to explain why I am spending so much time. I asked him, how many programs do you think your department is implementing that relates to agriculture production, improvement in agriculture produce, or that aims at farmers' well-being? He took some time and said, I'm not sure, but they may be about 20. But there were 62 programs. The man who has to implement the program did not know how many programs are being implemented in a village in Andhra Pradesh. What are we talking about, AADMI, please? Radio and Doordarshan, sir, yes, they have done a brilliant job at a particular point of time in this country. Until this country had become the country of BPLs and the IPLs. Today, you run a program with huge investments called, Prasad, what is that Gramin Bharat, is it? Bharat Nirman programs. I call back at least a dozen of people whom we have a list. We have 30,000 people working for a program. 30,000 volunteers. I call them up and ask them at 11:30 this morning, Sunday it comes. There was a program, have you watched that program? No. Invariably 12%, all the 12% said no. The precise reason is, at a time when we beam this program, there is always something which is more important, and in my hands, there is something called a remote control. The minute between the two small bits of an episode, if you are pumping in an advertisement that relates to a pregnant woman, nutrition relating to a pregnant woman, that's exactly the time when I go to the next channel to see what has happened in the next serial. My worry is an exclusive channel may be a fantastic idea, but in the given circumstances today, I am afraid a rural development channel trying to give a serial soap. And in the soap you include concepts like, there is a pregnant woman who is suffering, whose nutrition levels are very poor, anemic, and how that lady, suffers the pain of SARS. The mother-in-law's sufferings, how she is able to put up, etc. In which you say there is domestic violence, so the daughter-in-law should go to a police station. The story must be very powerful. Like, otherwise, nahi dekhta sab. Nahi dekhta sab. Aajkal hamara aam aadmi bhi aisa ho gaya hai. Reddy साहब ने पूछा ना, कौन होता है आम आदमी? What is the definition? I wish I had Sri Anant Padmanabh Rao. He left, I suppose. Oh, is there? Velipayada there. Anant Padmanabh Rao knows who is Aam Aadmi. Aam Aadmi, still, when he was questioning all of us, who is Aam Aadmi, I only remembered R.K. Lakshman's Aam Aadmi, the common man of Aam Aadmi. Such a wonderful man. He would always put on a coat, but with a patch. Such an old coat, torn, but there is a patch. There is some kind of a dhoti, a chashma. Never speaks. Have you seen Aam Aadmi of this wonderful R.K. Lakshman speaking? The common man of R.K. Lakshman has never spoken. Throughout his close to about 60 years of his cartoon dumb, he had never drawn a picture where Aam Aadmi had spoken. But he was always a good listener and a watcher also. He watches, he listens. That is why, my dear friends, if the common man wants the kingdoms to be rocked at Delhi, he had always rocked them off. We always expected, my God, what is going to happen? This government is going to come back again. But to our great surprise, they have simply rocked them off. So the common man understands, watches. Only thing is, the ruler has never bothered to give a voice to the common man and a communication strategy. I'm glad those 5 points, oh my God, they rake up so much of revolutionary thinking. I'm glad we will spend some time on those 5 points also. But a strategy for the ultimate man for whom all of us survive. If there is no poverty in the country, please, 60% of all government jobs in the country would be gone. I survive because my job is there. My institution survives because there is still poverty and rural development has not reached the levels that I want them to reach. Rural development is still a continuous process, Therefore, I continue. My institution continues. There is a 4th joint director's job which is going to be created, for which the proposal has gone to the government. Therefore, and USAID is interested to come into the country because rural development has not reached those levels that we wanted that to reach, and things like that. We'll not talk about it, but look at least many people are not interested to give a voice. हमने कानून को बनाया, कैसा इतना सुंदर कानून इस देश में. I don't think any countries can even think of. Right now there is a parliamentarian group undergoing training, 14 days training in APARD from Bhutan. Some of the things that we are talking about, they're simply not willing to believe that it's possible. Right to employment, my God, what a concept it is. But look at the way it's being implemented. And there are issues involved. Reddy Saab ka panchayat concept, yes. We would like every panchayat to act as a repository of information. Every small little document published, whether it is a CD, or it is a pamphlet, or it is a small booklet, in easy vernacular, must be made available to the Gram Panchayat. But where is the Gram Panchayat in Andhra Pradesh, please? To hide as many program details from the people as possible, isn't it? An average government officer, why would he share all the information about the program? Therefore, we have created another act called Right to Information. You can ask about a program details. And the implementation of RTI has its own ordeals. So when I said this is a country of IPLs and the BPLs, a cricket player can be sold at 11 crore rupees who is not able to make even one run during the last 3 tests. वो आदमी का नाम आपको मालूम होगा. I don't want to call his name now. 11 crore rupees you can buy one player in cricket. And why would you think of any other communication strategy other than cricket in the country? There is a serious requirement of redefining communication strategy, the first point out of the Panchasutras, which will create an intermediary volunteer at the village level who is capable of understanding a program. She may be a housewife, but with a mobile phone, who will get some kind of a tickle through an SMS at every regular interval, once in 2 days, 3 days. Aajkal bulk SMS is cost only 3 paise. 3 paise. And we have 20,809 gram panchayats in this state. So 20,000, 3 paise on an important program to one individual who will try and organize some kind of a small evening gathering and share the information. This is the only way it can happen, please. As long as there are radio mirchis, I am afraid a rural development message may not reach, even through the radio. We were all in tribal areas working for the tribal development. I was in a place called Parvatipuram. The only means of communication to a tribal in Andhra Pradesh till today is a radio. And those radios also today, from Visakhapatnam, Vijayanagaram, there is always an FM radio which always talks about a new biscuit or an old chocolate or a cinema, and a dialogue with the hero of a film which is going to be released shortly in the next 3-4 days. And that dialogue is about 1 hour. This is the communication that we have. And the instruments for such powerful medium, radio, is being used for this purpose, etc. I'll come to one of the second very important points. This is about creating an army, a disciplined army of volunteers. Many people asked me, before we started that Bharat Nirman volunteers, many people asked me, why? What's your problem? You are a training institution. Build the capacities of people. What is your problem? Why are you getting into this voluntarism, activism, etc.? We told them, Ministry of Rural Development, Government of India, has a budget. Is a very important point, very, very, very important point according to me. Under the umbrella called rural development, there are various departments: agriculture, animal husbandry, rural development, panchayati raj, Sadak Yojana, Indira Awas Yojana. There are all these, 255 programs. I'm not talking about the urban. Urban has a few more, like JN and URM, etc. Backward regions, grant fund, all those things if you put, every year we spend 8 lakh crores on these programs. Ministry of Rural Development alone spends 80,000 crores every year. My God, what an amount of money. These 8 lakh or 80,000 crores has all your money, my money. I paid an income tax of 4.5 lakh rupees last year. Even that is there in that. That kind of money goes to various villages, and whether it is 15 paise or 20 paise, there is a very interesting story. Now people are talking about more than 15 paise reaching villages, the ultimate man. Like the 13th Finance Commission money, entire money goes to only the villages. Nobody stops it in between. And there are no cuts, and there are no establishment charges. They don't pay for salaries, etc. Of this 15 paise, when we are talking, the 85 paise is meant for a government car, petrol, driver salary, everything. But in this, there are certain programs which, devolve their funds directly to the Grama Panchayats, and where there are no cuts and 100% go on reach. What I am trying to say is, if this is the kind of money going to the villages and reaching the ultimate point, Gram Panchayat, why are the villages looking worse than before, please? Close your eyes. Look at a village which you have visited 10 years back and you have visited last year. The village 10 years back you visited would have been much more greener. Must have had earthen road, but good road. Even car would have gone there. Must have not had drinking water problem. Must have had better electricity than now, isn't it? Now farmers are crying in Andhra Pradesh, no electricity, please. Low voltage problems. And the point where the revenue survey number ended of the village, you would have had the forest line starting. And today the forest line would have receded 1 kilometer away from the village, isn't it? Do you agree with me or not? Yeah? Agriculture has become non-profitable. Open wells are dried out completely. Bore wells, water table is depleting. Then what are we doing with these 8 lakh rupees, please? 8 lakh crores rupees. Are the villages looking better than before, is the question. Therefore, and on the other hand, we have growth engines. And beyond the growth engines, we also have some interesting flagship programs of both Government of India and our own state governments, respective state governments. With all this, somehow we have made nobody happy. Therefore, we thought, let there be one person or a group of young men. 47% of Indian population is youth, young men and women, 47%. No other country in the world has that kind of population. That includes even China. In the year 1600s, India contributed to 1/4 of the gross domestic product of the world. If you see entire world's GDP, 1/4 came from India, 1/4 came from China, 1600s, 412 years back. And rest of the countries in the world contributed to the other 50%. And what has happened to these two wonderful countries? One country had collapsed and then started emerging, and they are far ahead of us. And we are still struggling. Our young men and women are looking for job opportunities, hunting from pillar to post. They have resolved not to go back to agriculture. One more statistics I will give you. The average age of Indian agriculturist is going up year after year. If you see last year agriculturist average age in the country as 40, this year it would have been 42, which means the younger people from agriculture are opting out. Very dangerous situation, please. This is despite having 47% of all our population as the young men in the age group of 18 to 45. Very dangerous statistics. Therefore, we thought we will create some kind of volunteers. Then one other section of IAS officers asked me, why should anybody work as volunteers for you? 5:59. I must be closing any minute now. Why should anybody work as volunteers? We said we'll give it a try. They told me wonderful programs like adult education. You know, when we were all collectors, we ran beautiful programs. Adult education, completely run with the fuel of voluntarism. Throughout the country, there were fantastic stories. Kerala did miracles, and we tried to follow. But somewhere we lost out. That's a different issue. Alleppey. Today, you see what Alleppey had done. It was the first district in the country to become 100% literate. And close to about 18, 19 years later, no, I think 22 years later, it is the same district which is the first in the country to become financially literate district, which means the banking inclusion called 100% households opening bank accounts. RBI was talking about it 6 years hence. Last 6 years they have been pleading governments, their bankers, please make all your villages in your service area and the households in each of these villages to open an SB account, no frill account, which means you don't have to have any balance at all. Just take a photograph, an application and a thumb impression, open an account. Nowhere else it has happened. Pondicherry has done a little. But the first district again is Alleppey. That is the power of literacy, you see. So they asked me, why would anybody work voluntarily? Even Sakshara Bharat today, the same program, adult literacy program, all the voluntary effort earlier is today paid. A man at the village level is being given 2,000 rupees honorarium, and at the mandal level, which is the middle tier in Andhra Pradesh Panchayat Raj system, is paid 6,000 rupees a month. So why would anybody work? But contrary to all these questions, if you see, what we have got is 30,000 people in how many villages, Prasad? 1,700 villages, 30,000 people are working as amazing army, disciplined army. There are 15, 20 boys and girls. They may be educated, waiting for an opportunity, or college-going students, or a daughter-in-law of a household. And these are the people who look forward to. They have got a small little training, and after the training, what they are doing is, anything today Government of India program or Government of Andhra Pradesh program is talking about, they are the people who are able to go and make it happen in these villages. Each of these 15 to 20 Bharat Nirman, we call them Bharat Nirman volunteers, very interesting. There is a website of APARD. I would request each one of you to have a look at it. The best communication can be through another human being who wants his village to be better. And through him, if we are capable of sending one SMS at a cost of 3 paise, and if that man understands, goes, mobilizes people, tries to tell all the 20 people, each of these 20 people, they have adopted 10 households, please. If there are 200 households in a village, Andhra Pradesh panchayats are very small. If there are 200 households in that village, habitation, and if there are 20 volunteers, each one of them has adopted 10 households. Their endeavor is, what Narasimha Rao said is amazing. If that can happen, Narasimha Reddy Garu, what he said, your communication, if this can go and reach the household, there's nothing like that. Unfortunately, we have a system where your barefoot staff of any program, the minute you give them a government label, they start putting up shoes and high heels. What can we do? It's not literally that. I also want them to put on shoes. But when you said barefoot, I'm trying to say, the minute you give them a government label, they behave like a government officer. And they stop going to the villages. What are we going to do? The worst example of this country, I'm not saying Andhra Pradesh country, is a government school teacher. Until he gets a job, I have seen when I was the collector, people coming and saying, sir, please give me this opportunity and see me. We used to conduct elections for the teachers. Now it's scrapped. Order of merit out of the written examination, people get jobs. During the interview, people used to plead, give me a job, sir. I will create such a beautiful school, etc. And after the job is given, he was never seen in the school. Instead of him, he appointed a proxy. He was getting 9,000 rupees salary. He was paying 1,000 rupees for his proxy. And the system is so vulnerable that you can't take action. If you can have one or two, you can take action. If you have 80% of 380,000 teachers in the state, what are you going to do? Somewhere, आम आदमी को थोड़ा कुछ ताकत देना पड़ता है, and that will happen through absolutely a communication strategy, information halves. And if that communication can go through any one of these mediums, a hoarding, a radio, television channel, Asha worker, or the Anganwadi worker, why would these persons carry these messages? I am glad Pulse Polio was quoted. Pulse Polio was a runaway success because of various things. We generated demand, that's it. We were successful in generating demand and a more aware community when it starts hypothesis. Hypothesis is when the more aware community starts demanding for services, the service delivery sector will start giving. And it's only one day affair for every 6 months, and people does not mind working for one day. The other rest of the days in that 6 months, they were not found. Polio is also such an interesting thing. 5 years and below, drops to be administered. Only thing is, keep the antigen under -4 degrees temperature. This happened because of the logistics and not much of responsibilities. If the same pulse polio demanded 60 days of constant vigilance, like in the tuberculosis, you know that DOTS program today? Why is DOTS program not a success today? Because the kind of attention, if you create or if you can invent a pill, with one pill, once in 6 months, if tuberculosis can be cured, tuberculosis can also be driven out. But unfortunately, it is a pill to be swallowed 180 days, every day one pill. That's why tuberculosis doesn't get eliminated from this country. So ultimately, what I am trying to say is, generate the demand through one means or the other, and that means of contacting people must be one person adopting 10 households. And we also coined something called Colloquium D, it was very popular. We thought if people to remember, I went to my last statement before I leave. I was called to Mussoorie to talk to a group of young IAS officers. Like this, I also was, at the pitch of my voice, I was talking people were all very happy. Every third sentence I spoke, people were applauding, standing, creating all kinds of nice things. And during the question and answer hours, they said, my God, what have you heard, sir? All along, we have been hearing different stories, but you gave a different angle to whatever we know. All that they said. And ultimately I said, what did I talk? What are important for rural development, quality of life? What are the important things? Can you please give me that? One man said at most difficult, one lady said, drinking water, sir. I said, fantastic, very good. Another person said, sir, toilets. I said, very good. And after that, they have never bothered to bring the third subject, though I have spoken about 8 of them. Therefore, I said, if you want to people remember, you need to create something which will rule the roost, You cannot erase it out. So we said, like Colloquium D, we brought hence GD. What it talks is health, education, nutrition, sanitation, gender, drinking water, employment, environment. Second time I went, after that I said, and I came back, then for a gender-related issue, I again went to Mussoorie. The same group of boys and girls. I said, what is rural development? They said, hence GD. So communication has a very, very, very important manner in which it has to be presented. It has to be catchy. It can't be long pamphlets. Nobody reads today pamphlets. But human beings who will take care of 10 households, one person, a young man, young woman, selfless, and who will say, if there is a pregnant woman in that household, this person should be in a position to go, Yemakka, Yedo Nela, TT injection, Veskunnava. 7th month, have you taken a tetanus toxoid injection? The government is giving 500 rupees every month to a pregnant woman. Have you got it? If you have not got it, come on, fill up this application, I will get it. This is the only way communication can be taken to the AADMI. 8 lakh crore ki rupiya, if it has to be doing more important service and delivering more important services than today, it has to be आम आदमी का पास तक जो information जाना है वो ऐसे जाना है again through an individual, because ऐसे soap serials जो होता है इसकी बाद में मेरा बहुत दुखी हूँ मैं, वो लोग भी नहीं देखेगा. Individuals, there are committed people. Until somebody gets a job, an educated, unemployed individual in a given village is willing to work for his village. Please. This is hypothesis. We have proved 30,000 Bharat Nirman volunteers, and they are our masters today carrying the communication. I don't know, youth power, once again, I'll conclude. Upositasya Vagrasya Paranam Jantu Maranam. This is what Kalidasa said. He says, when a tiger, Upositasya Vyagrasya, Vyagram, tiger, I started with lion, I end with the tiger. Let me end with the tiger. Vyagrasya. When the tiger, it has its food, long sleep, happily it sleeps. When it wakes up, it's also a cat, isn't it? You see a sleeping cat, when it wakes up, what it does? It stretches its body first, isn't it? Upositasya is the one upavas, which has been, you're fasting for some time because it was sleeping. Weekdays back, it must have had its food and it was relaxing, sleeping. When it got up, it must be hungry. And what it does? Paranam Jantu Maranam. When it stretches its body from waking up from its sleep, it means somewhere Jantu Maranam, one animal is going to die. The stretching of the body of a tiger, it has nothing to do with it, but it means one animal is going to die somewhere. Uposhitasya Vyagrasya Paranam Jantu Maranam. Today, if we can wake up the youth power in this country and tell them, dear young boys and girls, 8 lakh crore, 80,000 crores of rural development ministry alone, villages are looking much worse than before, and your village is also no exception. Now look, these are the programs that are available through which a child in your village cannot die, IMR. A pregnant woman cannot die. If there is a labor pain, please ring up 108. There will be somebody who will come and carry this woman, which is not happening today because of lack of awareness. An advertisement in a newspaper cannot make a pregnant woman take up a mobile telephone and then call 108. Please, please. What can happen is an young girl or a boy who has a telephone today. Charavani, isn't it? This Charavani is available almost with 50% of the young men, not more. And if this man feels, in these 10 houses allotted to me, one woman is reporting labor pains, and if he calls 108, institutional deliveries will be 100% in this country. आम आदमी तक गवर्नमेंट प्रोग्राम्स को ले जाने के लिए मेरा एक सौभाग्य है कि हमने करके दिखाया है, देखा है. नो नॉट दिखाया, दिखाया इज अगेन हमने करके देखा है कि वहां वो काम किया है. Therefore, according to me, is use the same young men and women Shri Reddy Saab was saying, but give them a training. Planning Commission has money, enough money for communication, may not be under a separate head, but each department, Mahatma Gandhi नरेगा program में communication के लिए separate budget तो पड़ा हुआ है, वो खर्चा नहीं हो रहा है. साल की अंतर्गत में खर्चा नहीं होता है. At the end of the year, there is a letter going from the manager of that program. Since communication we could not spend, please send that to our administrative costs, or to buy a car, or to buy an air-conditioned set in the office, which is permitted. So communication ultimately takes a shape of an air conditioner. Thank you very much.